Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Glassix Spotlight, the place where we peel back the layers of customer experience magic and peek into the future of service innovation. Hold on to your seats because today's episode is set to be a game changer. In the arena of contact center operations and customer experience, Joseph DiNatale stands out as a true visionary, blending transformational leadership with a deep commitment to both employee and customer satisfaction. Joseph, with his hands on approach and wealth of experience across various sectors, including technology, banking, and telecom, has mastered the art of building high performing call centers from scratch. He's not just about the numbers, see, he's about people, customers, team members, and stakeholders alike, driving home the importance of loyalty, integrity, and humility in every project he touches. At the helm of operations, Joseph has led his teams to create engaging, efficient, and innovative customer service environments. Asking about his secret? A blend of strategic foresight, operational prowess, and a knack for nurturing high caliber teams dedicated to excellence. Before we dive deep with Joseph, take a moment to imagine a call center that doesn't just solve problems but builds relationships, where every call is an opportunity to make someone's day better. That's the kind of vision Joseph brings to life. So let's get ready to welcome Joseph DiNatale to the Glassix Spotlight. Joseph, it's absolutely fantastic to have you here with us today.
Rand, what a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be a guest on your extremely popular customer experience podcast. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, Joseph. Thanks for joining us. For our listeners today, the episode's called Empowering Connections, Joseph DiNatale Masterclass on Building Winning Contact Centers. Joseph, I want to dive right in, and I have to ask this. I mean, with your extensive background in transforming contact centers, what foundational principles do you believe are essential for creating a high performing call center from the ground up?
Yeah, Rand, I've been fortunate to have played a leading role in two call center startups in my career, as well as spearheaded a recent turnaround scenario that required true transformation. In each case, the experience has been immensely satisfying, whether I'm building a new call center from scratch or taking over an existing call center. I'll keep it simple by highlighting three foundational principles that I believe provide the best chance of creating a high performing team and one that will see sustained success. To no surprise, I'm sure to your audience, these key areas involve people, culture, and technology. In the area of people, hiring frontline agents that demonstrate coachability, have a willingness to learn, and are customer centric is critical. Identifying talent that possesses these traits will make the jobs of the call center leaders that are responsible for the agent development that much easier. To that end, finding call center soups and managers who are passionate about teaching and coaching and modeling the desired behaviors is so important for the long-term success of the team. In the area of culture, and this is a big one. You as the architect, you're building the call center from the ground floor. There is such an incredible opportunity to shape the culture of the center. How and what is established as the shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that will characterize the call center org, that's going to set your team up for long-term success. In addition, what's ultimately established will help to attract the quality of team members that I spoke about just a moment ago. In my experiences, I put a lot of energy into creating a culture of empowerment, communication, transparency, and recognition. So, Rand, I'll give you an example of what empowerment looks like at the frontline level. It's providing the necessary tools and resources so that most customer issues can be resolved on the spot, which negates the need to transfer the customer to another department or a supervisor. Also, I found that open and transparent communication is key to establishing trust across the team. So if your call center operates in a virtual environment, like many do today, there are actions you can take to stay connected and visible with your team. A couple of tried and true methods that have worked for me in the past include establishing regular team town hall meetings, or hosting regular focus groups with small teams of agents to hear directly what's working and not working. And then something simple as establishing regular weekly soup and agent one-on-one coaching sessions. These events help to take the team and make them connected and aligned over time. And Rand, lastly, around technology, selecting the right CCaaS provider will positively impact both the employee and customer experience. So in my view, it's been best to have one company that provides the complete tech stack. So for many call centers, that could include your IVR, your ACD, your CRM, as well as a chatbot solution. Managing one vendor contact and customer escalation and support team typically is easier than dealing with multiple vendors.
Yeah, I love, first of all, I love the breakdown. I mean, you start with the people, you end with technology, and there's so much in between. And I want to go back on your point regarding the how do you actually keep the call center in its place? I mean, how do you keep the call center agents or workers engaged? How do you keep remote teams aligned on business expectations and KPIs and goals? And I found that the things that you said are obviously resonating a lot with everything that everyone's are doing in this space. But I think that there is one question I'd love to know is how do you think would be the best way to format daily stand-ups? I know we were doing a lot of daily stand-ups, especially in the remote working environments, rather if it's dealing with marketing people or customer success or customer support agents, right? I think that I found daily stand-ups to be quite challenging, and then we kind of regressed from the daily thing and it became a weekly thing. And then I always find it challenging, how do I keep the people around me motivated, and refreshed in that matter, to come with new ideas. But maybe maybe just me, but I always find it a bit challenging to come up with different ideas and how to keep the team more aligned or more refreshed or more incentivized to come to these type of meetings, more prepared or more motivated. I guess i guess you can agree with that.
100%. And, it's not as simple as the old days, Rand, where you could, walk out on the call center floor in most cases and either pull up a
Exactly.
chair, next to a team of agents or, put the dialer on pause and have a quick huddle. Um, but it doesn't mean you can't do it and be impactful in a virtual environment. What I found works is you need to work really closely with your workforce management team. Especially if you're a business that operates in a 24/7 environment, you're going to have multiple stand-up meetings because you have employees coming in at different work schedules. But having 5-10 minutes, using your collaboration tool of choice. In my case, it could be Google Meets. You have your own chat room dedicated to your team, and you have folks that are scheduled to take part. And as a supervisor, managing a team of 10 to 12 agents, your job is to get the team ready to have a great day, delivering, a great customer experience. So that stand up should include recognition. It should include any, material or significant updates on product or packaging, anything that, the agents need to know for their communication with agents. So it should be short. It should be crisp. And the agents should feel motivated, when they leave that stand up and hit the phones.
Yeah, I love that. Joseph, you're known for your hands-on, adaptable, and collaborative leadership style. How has this approach influenced the culture and the performance of the teams you've led? I mean, can you share like a specific example where this made a significant impact?
Absolutely. I feel that having a servant leadership style has served me really well over my career. It's enabled me to establish the kind of culture that attracts people to not only want to be part of the team and organization, but to also excel in their roles. I found that leading by example and modeling the desired behaviors for your leaders helps to bring them along and ultimately holds them accountable to delivering on what your expectations are. So, as an example, it could be something as simple as leading a one-on-one coaching and development session that you might have with an agent or a supervisor. Or it could be modeling executive presence when delivering a presentation to the senior leadership team. When you do that, your team members can see what good looks like and what you're expecting. In addition, I emphasize a collaborative approach. It's never a my way or the highway mentality. Creating a safe place for your leaders to have a voice and to be able to debate topics in a healthy professional way usually allows for the best outcome possible. So
Yes.
for that real life example you were asking about, Rand, I think I have a good one to share where I deployed this leadership approach at scale and involved breaking down silos and improving communication across the entire call center organization. There was a scenario where leaders managing certain areas of the call center weren't communicating or engaging with other groups within the same center. This dynamic led to morale issues. It led to a bottlenecking of information along with best practice sharing. And no surprise, the result was a very poor employee and customer experience. The good news, the upshot is we rallied around a one team mantra, and through various resource optimization, team building, and collaboration efforts, we were able to successfully knock down those silos, truly became one collective team focused on the same outcomes. And in the process, both the employee and the customer experience scores significantly improved. And Rand, for us to have achieved this transformation, it really did take everyone to buy in and to be open to communicating, collaborating, and really trusting one another.
I couldn't love more this example. And I have to ask regarding your point about leadership styles and the EX versus or combined with CX, right? Employee experience and customer experience. Have you had the chance to kind of touch, because in many areas we only talk about how do we empower agents or how do we make or grow better agents, or how do we make them thrive or even increase their median tenure or whatever it is that we're trying to do. Have you ever had the chance to kind of touch on the other side in terms of like how do we create better leaders, or how can we nurture or develop better leaders within the company, just out of curiosity?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's an area of opportunity. And personally, my style is I prioritize my leadership team. And what I mean by that is I make sure that I dedicate time and make myself available um, to developing and giving support and advocating and promoting my direct reports, my leadership team. Um, and it's not, just once or twice a year, during your regularly scheduled every 6 months development touch base, meetings that companies have. I dedicate monthly um, where it's 60 minutes once a month, where each leader on my team, we've already established what they want to work on. How do we want to stretch them professionally? What are the areas of opportunity? And that hour, Rand, is completely dedicated to their progress in that area and what I can do to support them. So it's not another um, one-on-one where you talk about results and status on projects and things of that nature. It really is 100% about the employee and their growth. And I feel like over time, not only does your employee um, become the best version of themselves, um, but you have a tremendous opportunity to impact that employee. And along the way, trust is established. That the bond that you need to have a successful team, is established. And then the hope and the expectation is that they're having those same discussions on a regular basis with their team and so on and so forth. So over time, your entire organization especially if you're running a large call center organization, will reflect that, where everyone's kind of walking the walk and talking the walk at the same time.
Yeah, I adore this example of the monthly 1 hour session where they come and talk about pretty much everything with their leader. I think it requires a lot of traits and a lot of characteristics from a leader to kind of be able to either not just consume the information, but also be able to digest it in a way that they can actually make an impact, right? For example, they come to you and they say, hey, we're doing this right now, but I think that if we're going to do this, we're going to see different results. And then you, as a leader, obviously say, okay, you can take it both ways, right? You can come and say, okay, I'm going to help you to achieve just that, or just do just that, or I'm going to give you the tools to be able to achieve what you just offered. I think these are two different approaches that we see quite often.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a final kind of comment on that is, whenever you have the opportunity where, a direct report comes to you with an idea, um, and you're able to support and advocate for them, and that can mean getting resources, or just championing the effort. It's extremely gratifying to see. They own it, right? It's their idea. They're getting your backing and support, and to see, the great things that can be done because now they're fully vested in that idea because it was theirs, right? They own it and they're being supported. That's one of the great things that you can be part of as a leader.
Totally. And I want to touch on probably your second love, BPOs.
That's right.
In today's competitive landscape, how do you approach business process outsourcing to ensure it aligns with the company's goal and customer experience standards? I mean, can you walk us through like your process for selecting and managing PPO partnerships?
Absolutely, and you're spot on about it being my second love. I'm a huge BPO advocate, having worked on both the client as well as the BPO side of things. Rand, as we know, there are many clear advantages to using outsourcers. Outsourcers can provide valuable business redundancy and continuity, as well as providing staff augmentation support for your captive call center. In addition, they can be nimble enough to handle, ramping resources up and down for short and midterm projects. There can be tremendous value in BPO partnerships, but the trick is to find the right match for your company. And in my view, the industry is currently fragmented and it's going through a period of consolidation, which presents challenges, to call center leaders in finding the right partner. So what do I do, Rand? I typically lean on BPO industry legends. I'm thinking about Sadiq Mohammed or Peter Ryan, for their valuable insights and recommendations into various BPO companies and regions, depending upon the type of work, that's in scope. Um, Obviously, it's important that the outsourcer has a high proficiency and competency for the type of support that's needed. So I'll give you an example. If the need is customer service and support, or it's a sales oriented program, the vendor must have a successful track record of being able to source the necessary talent, as well as exceeding performance metrics in those areas, right, that are meaningful to you as the client. Also critical is the ability for agents to speak and write in the native language. And they need to do it with a high degree of proficiency, which in my case is largely the English language. We often hear from customers through various customer experience surveys, how much value they see in interacting with agents that have a firm grasp on the English language, both written and oral. It means a lot goes a long way.
Yeah, I first of all, I love your point about looking after those or looking at those industry leaders as North Stars when selecting a BPO. I also adore the second point regarding what is the actual use case. But it still keeps me wondering in terms of like, is there like a framework you like to follow, or is like a detailed structure, right? That or is just very subjective to each product?
Well, I think it goes a case by case basis. I've been fortunate, though, in my personal experience, having worked with quite a few what I would classify ran as top tier providers, and they're not always the big ones that you think of. They're good too. Found Ever, Concentrix, Teleperformance, right? Those guys, but there's smaller mid-size partners that also do a really good job with the relationship, meaning that regardless of the size and scope, they're able to deliver what you call a VIP or a white glove level of service, where you have a dedicated account management team that's responsive. They're not reactive, to your needs. They're not waiting for you to come to them, Rand. They're proactive. And it's not just during, the weekly or monthly sort of business reviews. But if you have a good relationship with your account management team on the vendor side, they will bring ideas and solutions proactively to you. And that's what you want, right? Because that's then when it becomes a true partnership. Um, and that's what I look for, I think, is very important as I evaluate different providers. Will I have that certain white glove VIP sort of relationship where they're proactive in bringing either technology or suggestions and process on how we can deliver better results and a better experience to our customers? To me, that's critical in what I think about in a good relationship with a vendor partner.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with this point, and I think that's what kind of differentiates, in a way, a good BPO partnership versus a not so good one, right? When they truly understand your business, when they're genuinely care about your business goals and how they help you to achieve them as a catalyst, right? I think that this is an excellent point, and like, I mean, the idea, Joseph, with technology rapidly evolving, what strategies do you employ to integrate new technologies into contact center, ensuring like they enhance rather than complicate the customer experience?
Sure. Um, I'm a big believer that when it comes to the call center's technology stack, that less is more. You know, what I see too often is organizations deploying numerous vendors to provide solutions um, for every piece of the stack. IVR, their ACD, chatbot, social media platform. It goes on and on and on. To me, there's value in having one CCaaS solution that meets most, if not all, of your call center needs. So, in general, the less systems your team and cross-functional partners need to manage, the better. I personally like to invest time and energy in improving the customer experience through an enhanced employee experience, and couple that with self-service and call containment initiatives. So I'll give you an example. Optimizing the self-serve capabilities via the IVR, and then promoting where to find information so that customers can conduct routine account updates on either the company app or the website. That offers an alternative to calling to the contact center. That saves the customer time. They can go to you at their leisure.
We could look at it
In
as a
addition,
call deflection, in a way,
it's
if we want.
100% it's a call deflection. And when you're able to
Very,
do
very
that,
common use case in call centers.
agreed. And then I've taken a step further, Rand. I think investing in a conversational artificial intelligence chatbot, that helps to take call volume out of the system, and it gives customers the flexibility to engage with the company again at their leisure. So the upside, and I do a lot of reading on Gartner research, and Gartner says that in most cases, the customer experience is much higher in service self-service channels compared to when interacting in an agent-assisted channel. So I think um, the upshot is it's better for the company because you have a lower cost to serve. When you're able to deflect, like you said, Rand, it delivers for the customer an opportunity to engage with you when it suits them, and they typically get a better user experience than they would if they had to wait in a queue and speak to a human being.
Totally. And I want to compliment your last remark about how um, you know working in, let's call them, instant messaging channels, or just messaging channels rather than the old good phone, is making it its way, just not in terms of popularity, but it also enhances customer experience. It also helps company reduce costs and obviously increase revenues. So we've recently conducted a study here among our e-commerce client base. We're talking approximately about 350 companies, from small enterprises to very big ones. And we found that actually e-commerce brands that using AI chatbots on instant messaging channels see 12% increase in their CSAT score year over year. And we're talking from 2021, 2022, and then 2023. I think that's quite significant.
It is, and I'm not surprised. Um, it, it's again, to me, I think it's a no-brainer because customers are, they desire that communication, that outreach, proactive outreach on things like, hey, there's an outage in your area. If you're a cable company, as an example, to be alerted, right? So that they know that they have to make, maybe if they're working from home, they have to make, maybe an adjustment or so, versus finding out that, hey, I don't have internet and having to call into my company and wait in a queue because everyone else is waiting too. It's just a really poor service. So if you can generate those outbound, text messages, or emails, as an example, I think it just delivers is what customers expect, is that level of communication. Um, and I'm not surprised to hear that's delivering that, that much better of a CSAT and a CX score.
And imagine yourself not just having those chatbots running on instant messaging channels, the likes of WhatsApp or Apple Messages for Business or SMS or your website chat or whatever it is, or Messenger on social media, right? But imagine also having that as a complete omni-channel experience. So you could actually provide not just with this updated stellar experience, you can also provide a unified, consistent experience across all channels without, you know, the person needs to kind of repeat themselves, or without the conversation history that get lost. Or and that's exactly what we do here for some of our customers at Glassix.
I couldn't agree more, with that, Rand. And, you know, to take it a step further, we talked about what it means to the customer, how you can position some things in an omni-channel platform. But there's also the employee experience too. And, by and large, your frontline agents, from a job satisfaction standpoint, they're not excited to have to, text customers or email customers about outages, or let alone, field phone calls from angry customers. So to me, by removing, a lot of that noise, if you will, from the system and having a bot take care of that, and deliver that communication, it saves I think, your most valuable resource to handle, more nuanced and complex customer interactions. And I think when you do that, that helps the job satisfaction and the morale of your team.
Absolutely. And imagine yourself having the ability as a call center agent. Let's say you're in a conversation with a prospect or a customer for that matter, having the ability to blend in a bot during the conversation. If you know your bot is trained and is capable of resolving things, like, let's say you work for an insurance company, right? Whatever, just a use case from the day to day. And then a bot, can resolve things like client identification, or can resolve things like, hey, where can I get my claim policy, or whatever they look for, right? Imagine yourself how powerful it is for support agents to be able to blend in a bot to do all of these repetitive and somewhat, mundane tasks for them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think really it's a win-win scenario, and you don't and a lot most times you don't get that. And so I think in this example, you really have a win for the customer, a win for the employee and the company. It's a great
Yeah.
example.
So, Joseph, you successfully led teams in both B2B and B2C environments. What are your key strategies for building loyalty and trust with customers across these different sectors?
Yes, I love this question, Rand. So, over the course of my career, I've learned that there are many initiatives, actions, things you can do um, to influence this important area. So, I think what I'll do is I'll focus on what I believe are the three main pillars that will help to establish the trust and the loyalty, right, that we all seek out from our customers. The first pillar for me is, it's a must have, it's table stakes, is make the customer support experience exceptional, right? That you have to do that. Building trust with customers starts with delivering excellent customer service. How agents perform has a great influence on customer loyalty and retention. A highly efficient customer support team will be able to respond quickly to queries and to provide instant resolutions. This leads customers to trusting the brand and hopefully will ultimately stay with you for a longer period of time. When you genuinely show that you care by delivering great experience, customers will recognize your effort, and then a sense of trust is created. In addition, it's super important to be available to your customers on the communication channels they prefer. Rand, you kind of hit on that a moment ago with your omni-channel example. In my experience, customers will get in touch with a business using more than three or four channels, and they expect a consistent experience no matter what channel they choose. So the goal is to respond in a timely fashion and for customers not have to repeat themselves or their issues again. Um, Second pillar, I think, in this is prioritizing customer feedback. Asking customers for feedback provides important insights, allowing you to learn how they feel about your business. And, after all, it's your customers who are going to use your product or service, and knowing what they feel is crucial.
I absolutely love
Generally,
that
customers
point.
feel valued when asked for their feedback and opinion. So once this connection with the customer is established, they'll be more likely to stay loyal to the brand and give high value input going forward as you seek it out.
I love this point about customer feedback. But a lot of time is not just the customer feedback, is how you ask and when you ask. And I think that a lot of time this often kind of get neglected, right? In
Mhm.
a way, we see a lot of brands, take from the multi-million dollar brands to a very small brands. you know I really think that we're not honing in enough on how we ask and when we ask.
So you're hitting on something very important, Rand. It's fascinating. I've had the opportunities to participate in customer interviews, where you work, you kind of partner with the customer experience team and you have current customers of yours, in different regions, right, throughout the country to get different perspectives. And it's, you ask some very pointed, open ended questions. And customers will not hold back, Rand, as I'm sure you know, when given the opportunity, especially if their experience with your company is less than desirable. But I think if you look at it objectively, what you learn during those customer interviews is extremely powerful because you're able to take information back to those areas of the business and see, and have discussions about what you can do to improve the impact it has on customers and the experience that they have, and where's the friction within the process that you can remove, and kind of improve your level of service. So I think for anybody listening that is kind of scratching their head on what can we do to connect with our customers and learn what's working and potentially what's not, engage your customers where they are. Invite them for an interview. It's just a conversation, and see what you learn. And then the most important thing is to take action on what you're given, because I think the worst thing that can happen is a customer provides you with really good nuggets and then you don't take any action. um, I think that could have the opposite effect on the customer's experience with your company.
Totally. Joseph, before I thank you very much for joining us today and sharing all this wealth of information and experiences. I have to take your word on this one last question. So reflecting on your career and the evolution of customer service, if you could implement one innovative change across all contact centers tomorrow, what would that be and why?
Wow. Wow. What a thought provoking question, Rand. Um, I'm still thinking about,
Expecting a thought provoking answer.
yes, well, I'm going to do my best to deliver for you. And I think it's going to piggyback a little bit on, again, your omni-channel experience with customers, right? So no matter the platform or channel they're on, delivering that seamless, frictionless experience. So I guess if this was Joe's world and Joe's company, and I had the power to revolutionize all contact centers overnight, I probably would introduce something along the lines of a unified customer contact system. And I think it'd be a game changer. So here's, in my mind, here's kind of how it would play out. You have this holistic customer view. So imagine if every agent had access to a snapshot of the customer's journey across all of the touch points, right? Omnichannel. This unified context would include things like past customer inquiries, purchase history, maybe sentiment analysis, and then any lingering unresolved issues that might be out there. Agents that are armed with this knowledge then can provide personalized, empathetic assistance, which eliminates the need for customers to have to repeat themselves. I think that's first. And then the second sort of element is the seamless handoff between agents. Oftentimes customers get transferred from one agent to another. And, there's nothing more frustrating for customers when that happens. Within a unified context, these handoffs would be seamless. The next agent would pick up exactly where the previous one let off. This ensures continuity. It reduces the customer effort. Again, it's frictionless. I also think about predictive insights, Rand, in the form of machine learning. So machine learning, which is very important in this day and age, these algorithms would analyze cues to gauge customer emotion. So for example, if a customer sounded frustrated, the system could prompt the agent to offer, empathy or potentially even escalate the issue if necessary. Happy customers might receive personalized thank you messages, as an example. And then I think you can't leave out the proactive customer outreach. The system that we're talking about, in Joe's world, would identify potential issues before customers even reach out. So an example here would be if there was a known service outage, which happens frequently, in the telecommunications world, unfortunately, it could send those proactive notifications via SMS that you spoke about earlier, taking calls out of the system. So I guess in an ideal situation, Rand, the unified customer contact system would not only enhance efficiencies, but it would improve the customer satisfaction. It would empower agents to deliver exceptional service. So to me, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
While growing revenues. That's crazy. I know.
Well, absolutely. Thank you for that. Wow, growing right. It's got to be impactful for the company as well. So no doubt.
Brilliant. Joseph, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. For our listeners, if you want to dig more into Joe's world and knows more about customer experience, BPO in the contact centers or call center world, I urge you to check out Joseph's LinkedIn profile. He's very active there. Joseph, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Rand. Thank you so much for having me.